Welcome back to another Clash of Spears battle report, where today we will be using the Arcane Compendium expansion book, and we will be playing the forces of Rohan and Sauron. Well, a mix of Sauron. And then the objective for today is burn the Rohan village. So it'll be 2 victory points for burning a village or a house for the orc army, and then 2 victory points each for defending said house for each Rohan village or Rohan army. And then alternatively, you can just break the enemy force. And then each house will it'll require 5 attacks to go through to successfully burn a house. So with that, we'll take a look at the army list. Alright, and here we have the Rohan force, led by a level 3 leader, Theoden, the king, and then a level 2 leader, Éomer. And then we have 2 units of 6 cavalry. They have the cavalry spear and extra equipment bow. And then we have a unit of spearmen, 4-man unit of infantry with mixed weapons, and a 4-man unit of archers. And then breakpoint is every 4 figures. So with that, we'll take a look at the orc list. Alright, and here is the orc list, led by a level 3 leader, Azog, on his mount, and then a level 2 leader on foot, Shagrat. And then for the rest of the units, we have a troll, a veteran orc infantry unit of 9. They have polearm, and then 2 units of 8 seasoned orc infantry, mixed weapons, and then a unit of 6 orc archers. Breakpoint is 5 figures. So with that, we'll deploy our units and begin the battle. Alright, we have deployed our units. We have seasoned orcs on my right with Azog, veteran orcs, seasoned orcs on the left with Shagrat and the archers on the flank. I'm going to go ahead and climb those ruins. And then for Rohan, we have cavalry on the right and the left flanks, infantry on the left with Theoden, spearmen in the middle, Éomer in the middle or on the right flank with the archers. So with that, we'll go ahead and roll for initiative. So 1 for me, and Rohan gets the initiative for first turn to begin the battle. Alright, and here is the end of round 1. There was no action. My orcs moved forward along with Azog. This unit stayed put. Shagrat moved forward, and then the archers did 3 movements up onto the ruined terrain to get a shot off. And then for Rohan, the cavalry moved forward once to get in line with the house, And then infantry over here moved forward, along with Eomir on her right flank. So with that, we go to round 2, and we roll for initiative. It's a 4 for the orcs, and a 5 for Rohan. Rohan gets first initiative again. Alright, first activation for Rohan. She activated her cavalry, which moved forward just a little bit to get in range of my troll, and then they're firing into the troll with their bows. So, 6 shots. What are we hitting on?
5.
Alright. And that's 2 hits. And then I got a save of 6 with natural armor 2, bringing it down to 4. And then a +1 for the bow modifier brings it back to a 5. And that's 1, so I take 1 wound to the troll. It has 2 remaining. Alright, and then you get 1 fatigue for shooting. Any other actions?
Not with these guys.
Alright, moving on to Orcs activation. Alright, and for the Orc activation, I activated the seasoned Orcs over here on the right. They did a double movement forward, heading towards that house. Alright, moving on to Rohan. Alright, Rohan activates her cavalry again. They're not moving, they're just going to fire into my Orcs. Alright, 6 shots, hitting on 5. Ooh, that is some good hitting. Everything but 1, so 5 hits. Alright, I have a save of 5, going to 6. So I save 1 and lose 4 orcs. Ouch. And then I'll need to make 5 grit tests, yes, which I forgot to do for the troll. So I'll do that after. So I have a grit of 4. And that is 3 failures, so I take 3 fatigue.
Nice.
Alright, and then I took 1 wound for the troll. Let's see. It has a grit of 4. To pass 1, fail 1. So we'll take fatigue as well. Alright. Any other actions?
No.
Alright, so you get 1 fatigue for that. And we go back to the orc's turn. Alrighty. So my orcs moved forward twice, followed by these her archers moving into the building using 3 movement, and then it was back to me, which I then moved my orc archers over to the right. I gave them 1 fatigue from last round, being given this as rough terrain. So they moved forward once, and then now they're going to fire into her cavalry. So this will be 6 shots hitting on 5. That is 1 hit. And then they'll get a +1 modifier to their save.
So instead of 4, I need a 5 then?
Yep.
Okay.
And you made it. Alright, and then I don't think you might have to make a grit test just because you got hit. So we'll double check that. Alright, grit test for those cavalry. Into 3. Got it. Alright, no fatigue for that. And then these archers will get a fatigue. And then we move on to Rohan's turn. Alright, so following up, Rohan moved their infantry twice in front of the house, and then it came back to the orcs, which I activated my troll, which moved twice and then charged into the cavalry, and this will be doing an all-out attack. So this will be 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. That's 3 hits. No doubles, unfortunately.
Alright.
What do you need?
4s.
So that's 2 failures.
Can I use one of my fate points to reroll?
You want to use a fate point on this?
Yeah.
Okay. That's success or failure?
It was a fail.
Failed. Alright, so you lose 2. And then roll 3 grit tests.
I need 3s. I got
Alright, pass them all. And then you'll back up. Go into 3 fatigue. And then it goes back to Rohan's activation. Alright, and to follow up last few rounds, Spearman moved forward twice. And that was it for the rest of Rohan's activations. While I moved up Azog. And then I moved up my reserve orcs to head towards that house. And with that, we end round 2. And we go to round 3 initiative. And that's a 1. And a 6 for Rohan activation. Alright, and for Rohan's first activation, she activates her cavalry here, which are going to shoot into my troll.
Alright.
She needs 4s. That is 2 hits. And then I get 5s. That's my save, which I passed 1, failed 1, so I take another wound. And then another grit test, which I believe I failed 1 again. Yes, it did. So that brings me down to 4 grit. And then we move on. You get 1 fatigue for shooting. And then it's Orc's turn. Alright, and for the Orc's activation, I'm going to activate my archers here. So we'll do an activation test. That is a 3, which fails their activation test. Alright, they do nothing. Moving on to Rohan. Alright, and Rohan then activates her archers, which are going to try and finish off the orc, or the troll. Those will be 4 shots. What are we hitting on?
5s.
Alright. 4s, because of a large creature.
So 2.
2 hits, alright. And then 5 up save for me. Pass them both. He swats those arrows out of the air. Alright. And then, are they doing anything else?
No.
Alright, they take a fatigue, and they go back to your orc activation. Alright, and for the orc activation, I activated my veteran orcs, which did a double movement, and then a 3rd action of attack on her cavalry. She chose to defend. So, this will be 9 attacks, hitting on 3s. So that is 8 hits. And then what do you need to defend? Melee.
Melee is 3.
Alright, so you need to roll 3s.
Found 2.
Alright. So, and then you got 2 saves. What do you need?
4s.
Alright, so you take 1 casualty. And then they have cutthroat, so that's an additional grit test. So you're rolling 3 dice. What do you need? 3s?
Yes.
Alright. Pass them all. Alright, so they take a fatigue, and then I take 2 fatigue for 3 actions and combat. Alright, and then we go back to Rohan's activation. Alright, next up for Rohan, Cavalry move forward once, and then I'm going to fire into the Troll. So this will be 6 shots hitting on 4. And that's 3 hits. 5 up save. Failed 2, and that is a dead Troll. Alright. Any other actions?
They're gonna move again.
Moving again. Alright, rest of the game we did some maneuvering. Some units moved forward. Theoden moved forward. Some orcs over here moved forward. And then it came back to me. I charged Azog into the cavalry. And we're going to do an all-out attack. So it's 2 attacks hitting on 3s. And that's just 1 hit. And then what do you need to save? 4. Nope. Alright, take 1 casualty. And then make a grit test. 2 dice. This is 3s. Pass them both. Alright. And then they'll back up 3 inches, give or take. And then we go back to Rohan's activation. Alright, so Rohan activates the Spearmen, which move forward, and are going to fire into Azog with throwing spears. What are we hitting on?
5.
Alright. And that's 2 hits. And I will need a 4 up save. Passed 1, failed 1. He has 2 wounds. He's got 1 left. And then grit test, which I failed both my grit tests. Ouch. That hurt. So he takes 4. Up to 4 fatigue, 1 wound. And we move on back to the orcs activation. Alright, and then for the orc activation, I moved my orcs on the right flank towards the building twice. And then Rohan passed, and then I passed. So, let's go ahead and roll initiative. This will be an important one. And that's another 1 for the orcs. And a 6 for Rohan as they get the initiative once again. Alright, Rohan had first activation. It was a pretty important decision. She chose to activate her infantry on her left flank, which made an all-out attack on my orcs. So this will be 4 attacks. What are we hitting on?
We're hitting on 4s.
Alright, and then re-rolling 1s because of combined arms. Oh, everything hits, and a 6. That's 5 hits. And then I have a save of 5. Alright, I saved 2, so I lose 3. And then make 4 grit tests. Needing 4s here. That's just a 1, so I take 3. Which brings me to 4. Which will wipe out the whole unit, unfortunately. Alright. Back to orcs, turn 1. Alright, orcs charged the building and are going to do an all-out attack. But before that, she reacted with her archers to exit the building before it catches on fire. Alright, so this will be 8 attacks, hitting on force. And I believe I said I only needed 5 to successfully burn the building. With the 2 of 6s, that will bring it just to 5, as that building will catch fire. And then we move on to Rohan's activation. Alright, with the building in a blaze, Theoden makes his stance by charging towards Azog to take him out in a 1v1 duel. And then Azog is going to counterattack. So 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. And that is 2 hits on Azog. Azog has a 5-up save. And Azog gets taken out off his horse as Theoden cleaves his head off in 1 stroke, taking out my leader. Any other actions for Theoden?
Nope.
Alright, so he'll take 1 fatigue for that. And then we'll move on to the Orc's activation. Alrighty. Made some morale tests for these units. Seeing Azog get his head cut off. They passed. Shagrat moved forward 3 times, gaining him 1 fatigue, but he is now in range to control the army. And then for Rohan, she moved back her cavalry and are now going to fire into my veteran orcs. So it's 4 attacks hitting on 5. That is 1 hit. And then this is a 5-up save, or 6-up save. Failed. Grit test of 3. They failed 1, so they take 1 grit. Alright. And then we move on back to Orc's turn. Alright, and for the Orc's last activation, I double moved my orcs over here and then fired into her cavalry. So 6 shots hitting on 5s for not a single hit. That is the orc shooting today. Actually, that is my rolls today. Awful. Alright, so they get a fatigue for that, and then we go to Rohan's activation. Alright, and for Rohan's final activation, she activated her cavalry here, which are going to fire into my veteran orcs, correct?
Yes.
Alright, so that'll be 5 attacks hitting on 6s. For 1 hit. And then that is a 5-up save. 6-up save. That is another orc down. 3-up grit test. Failed 1. So they go to 4. And then with orc's turn, I pass. And then she passes in turn. Which we then go to round 5. And initiative roll. That's a 4 for me. And a 2 for Rohan. So orcs finally get the first initiative as we go to round 5. Alright, for the orcs' first activation, I activated my veteran orcs, which moved forward towards Theoden, and they're about to charge Theoden when she's going to attempt a reaction test with her cavalry. So 1 die, you need a 3. And she gets it, and she's going to charge into my orcs. And we'll get ready for that. Alright, 5 cavalry attacks on my infantry, hitting on 3s. And that's 4 hits with my 5-up save. I save 2, lose 2. And then grit test of 3. I failed 2. So they take 2 fatigue. And they are now stalled as we go to Rohan's turn. Alright, continuing on. Her spearmen move forward, and now we're going to throw spears into my veterans. So this will be 4 attacks, hitting on 5. That's 1 hit. And then this will be a 4-up save, which I failed, so I take another casualty. And then 2 more grit tests, which I failed 1, bringing me to 4 fatigue. Alright. Moving on to Orc's turn. Alright, I activated my seasoned Orcs, which moved forward once and then made an attack action on her cavalry. She is going to defend. So this will be 8 attacks, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s because of cutthroat. Or combined arms, by then. Alright, that's not bad. That's 5 hits. And then she'll make 5 blocks with her defend, needing 3s. And she made all but 1. Alright, and then a save. A 4-up.
4, yep.
Which she makes. Alright, and then make a morale test. 1 die. Which she fails, so she will take 1 fatigue. And then back up 3 inches. And then we go back to Rohan's turn. Alright, Rohan's activation. She attempted to activate her cavalry, but they failed their activation test. So, and then I passed, followed up by her archers moving forward and firing into my seasoned orcs. So this will be 4 shots, hitting on 5s. For 1 hit. And then this will be a 5-up save, which I failed, taking 1 casualty. And then grit test, which I passed. Alright, and then that moves on back to me, which I pass again. And we go back to Rohan's turn. Alright, and she moves her infantry twice towards this direction to block off that last building from the orcs. And that ends Rohan's turn. I passed, and then she passes again with no more activations. So that is the end of round 5. So with that, we go to round 6, but before that, I am at my breakpoint. So I'll be making my breakpoint test. So my highest grit value is a 3. So that's 2 failures, but because I am muster, I ignore my first breakpoint test. So with that, we go to initiative. And that is a 2. And a 2 again. Reroll. 1. And a 3 for Rohan's first activation. Alright, so for Rohan's first activation, she activated her cavalry, which formed close orders, and then are doing a mass charge into my veterans. This will be 5 attacks, hitting on
3.
3. And that is 4 hits. And then this is a -1 to my save roll. I think we've been doing some modifiers wrong, but that's fine. So this will be 6s. Oh, I did select defend for my counterattack, or my response. So I need 3s to block these, which I block all but 1. And then this is a 6-up save, which I failed. So I lose a model. And then a 3-up grit test. Failed 1, bringing me to 3 fatigue. And then they will back up 2 inches. And then we go back to Orc's turn. Alright, so for my orcs, I tried to activate this unit of orcs to charge into her cavalry, but I failed my activation test even with a command reroll using my fate die. So they do nothing, and then she activated her spearmen, which charged into my veterans with an all-out attack for attack actions. Hitting on.
4s.
Alright. And that's 3 hits with 1 of 6, so making it 4. And then this will be 5 up save for the orcs. Failed 2. And then grit test. I passed, but I do have 3 fatigue to 1 man, so I think he gets wiped out. Alright, back to the orc's turn. Alright, and my last activation is my archers here, firing into her spearmen. So 6 attacks, hitting on 5. That's 3 hits. And then this will be 5 up save. It would be 4 with the modifier, but, yeah, 4 with the modifier. Failed 1, so you take 1 casualty, and then 2 grit tests.
Okay.
Failing 1, bringing you to 3. Alright, and then that is the end of Orc's activation. Back to Rohan. Alright, and for Rohan, her cavalry form close order and charging into my seasoned orcs. So 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Alright, that's 2 hits. And then some -1 to my save, so 6s. Failed both, taking 2 casualties. And 3 grit tests. Need 4s. Passed 1, failed 2, so I take 3 fatigue. Up to 3 fatigue. Alright. And then I pass again, and we go back to Rohan's turn. Alright, so Eomer moved up some behind his cavalry, and then the last unit to activate was her infantry charging into my seasoned veterans, doing an all-out attack. So this will be 4 attacks, hitting on
4.
Alright, 4s, and then re-rolling with combined arms. Re-rolling 1s, I should say. So just 1?
Yep, just 1.
Alright. 5+, I made it. Grit test, pass as well. So they take 2 fatigue and back up. And then that is the end of the round. And then I will make my breakpoint test at a -1. That goes down to a 3. I still pass. So they still hold. And then it is the end of round 6, so on a 4+ we go to round 7. Round 7 it is. This should probably finish me off. Alright, for round 7, Rohan won the initiative. So, and then she successfully activated her spearmen, which are charging into my surrounded orcs. So 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. That's 3 hits. Alright. 5 up save. Failed 3. And then grit test. I failed 3, bringing me to 4, which is twice the amount I have. So they will run away in the process. And with that, I think I'm going to retreat with only my orcs. I could probably make a break for that house, but not get it. Nah, I wouldn't get it done in this turn. So with that, it'll be 2 victory points for burning a building, 2 victory points for Rohan for defending, and then a break for my orc army, giving Rohan the victory. Thanks for watching, guys.